I'm getting ready to do is the bodywork on our 1970 Dodge Challenger deck lid. Just a quick backstory. This was actually already painted several times. If you look at the back side of it, you'll see that it's jammed purple, the original FC7. So what happened basically was the body man did his body work. He felt the panel. He says, oh, there's a dent there, there's a dent there. It was still lumpy, but he either couldn't feel it or didn't care, and loaded it with primer, epoxy primer. Just buried it, flooded it with it. Now, primer can go so thick, but if you go too thick, it'll split out in time. So it should have been flattened out with the filler. Filler's designed to be built up to a certain millage and not crack or fail. So instead of doing that, they did some filler, then loaded it with primer. In his mind, it felt good, so he went ahead and sealed it and painted it. It just doesn't work. You end up chasing your tail. By the time we were done with this, by the time we stripped this chemically, there were at least 4 paint jobs on it and at least 4 primer jobs, plus the sealers and the base coats in between them. So you have to start with a clean piece of metal. That's what you see here. We chemically stripped the deck lid. After chemically stripping it, we cleaned it up with an 8-inch sanding pad. This is where you should start every single time with your body work. This thing's kind of lumpy all over. It's got some problems pretty much from one end to the other. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do 1/2 of the deck lid. I'm not gonna do the whole thing at once, because remember, I wanna sand it while it's soft. You can get overwhelmed. I've seen guys just start smearing filler all over the car. You start sanding it, it gets hard, and you're tired and you wanna go home. You kind of get a feel for how much filler you're gonna need. So there's my filler setting out like that. This is your hardener. This is what catalyzes the filler. I'm gonna put this first one on. Start to get a feel for how it lays on there. I can kind of tell by the way it's filling in and not filling in where my low spots are gonna be at. So the filler's at a point right now where it's ready to sand, or very, very close to ready to sand. You know, blocking filler's just like blocking primer. If you don't take time to learn what you're watching for, it can get away from you and you can just create more and more problems. That's what the other guy did. So we're just gonna let that sandpaper do the cutting. We're gonna keep working it. You'll notice right now, this is your dust. This is what happens when you cut it soft. It's nothing. It's not filling the shop with clouds of dust and garbage. It's just a really nice way to do your filler. Okay, everything feels great.
So I got the GTX all masked, ready for paint. I'm gonna go in there first and get the doors all jammed, and then we can hang them on the car and do the final paint. Yeah, Mark's a silly guy. All the hand signals, I don't know what all that's about.
My job as an owner around here is to make sure that the other guys are doing their job. Will's no exception. I feel the need to go in and check on him when he's painting on something. I think every once in a while it's just not a bad idea to remind him, you know, who the big cat on campus is. You know what I'm saying? The big dog. So this big dog's running around spraying everything. You know what I'm saying? Spraying in the booth. Not, I know what you're saying about. Okay. So anywhere, I know you already know, but anywhere you've got bare metal, I want you to go over that with etch before you seal it. And then you're gonna do 2 sealers, 2 coats of sealer.
Mark keeps coming out quite a bit these days, kind of explaining everything that needs to be done. I've been doing this a long time, so I'm not sure if he's just feeling insecure that I'm doing a better job than he is, or if he's just actually coming out to check on the quality of the work.
To the top of this from that perimeter up. All goes black, and then this goes blue down here. Right. And I don't know if you thought about it, but it'd probably be easier to mask the blue off.
That's what I was gonna do.
So you're gonna do the blue first?
Yeah.
As a mentor, my job's not just to hand somebody a paint gun and say, go do it. To nurture them, to protect them. Okay, all right, go ahead. All right. I'm Samson fighting Goliath every day, all right? They're little versions of me. They're like little Samsonites, and not the luggage. And they're fighting big things like Goliath. but not as big as Goliath.
What are you doing?
If you don't push them to perform, then they're not going to perform. And so they need to know the big dog's watching. They need to know Big Brother's got the camera up in the corner and it's framed right on them. I'm the great interrogator.
I'm not sure if Mark needs coffee or if he's had a few too many. A lot more work would get done if he'd just stay up there in the office. It's a fucking wreck.
Now that I have delivered the necessary lessons to my pupils, I can get back to my job, which is the deck lid for the 1970 Dodge Challenger.
So I sealed the doors. That takes about 10 minutes to really dry. I lay the blue down first because it's a smaller area to mask off. Give that about 30 minutes so it's nice and dry so I can tape on it. Tape off all the blue. I'm gonna lay the black down. Then right after I lay the black down, I can unmask it. Then that's where you'll have your two-tone. And then I'll give that about 10 minutes. Then I go in there and put 2 coats of clear on it and it's done.